The pattern that keeps you trapped isn't what you think it is. Let me start with something that might shock you. Every single pattern you're desperately trying to break, the self-sabotage, the toxic relationships, the financial ceiling, the recurring anxiety, isn't actually your enemy. It's your most loyal servant, executing orders you gave it years ago when you didn't know any better. Here's what I mean. Right now, as you're reading this, your brain is processing approximately 11 million bits of information per second. But your conscious mind, it can only handle about 40 bits. So, who's deciding what those 40 bits are? Your subconscious programming, the quantum field of beliefs, traumas, and survival patterns encoded in your neural networks before you were 7 years old. And here's the kicker that changes everything. In quantum mechanics, the observer doesn't just witness reality, the observer creates it, not metaphorically, literally. The double-slit experiment proved this in 1927, and we've been confirming it ever since. Particles exist in superposition, all possibilities at once, until observation collapses them into one definite state. You are that observer. Your consciousness is collapsing quantum probability waves into the reality you experience every single moment. But, and this is where most people get stuck, you're not observing from your conscious desires. You're observing from your subconscious programming. The hidden architecture of your current reality. Think about your life right now. Whatever pattern you're trying to break, I want you to understand something fundamental. That pattern exists because at some level of your being, you believe it keeps you safe. When you were young, your nervous system made brilliant survival decisions. Maybe you learned that being invisible kept you from being criticized, so you developed a pattern of playing small. Maybe you discovered that chaos felt familiar, so calm relationships feel boring or even threatening. Maybe you absorbed the belief that struggle equals worthiness, so ease feels like laziness. These weren't conscious choices. They were quantum impressions, energetic blueprints encoded into the electromagnetic field of your heart, the neuropeptides of your gut, the firing patterns of your amygdala. And here's what makes this so persistent. These patterns don't just live in your mind. They live in your body, in your cellular memory, in the very frequency you emit into the quantum field. In quantum physics, we talk about wave-particle duality. Everything is simultaneously a wave of probability and a particle of matter. Which one manifests depends entirely on observation, on consciousness interacting with potential. Your current life patterns are particles, solid, recurring, seemingly unchangeable. But underneath, they're still waves of infinite possibility. The question isn't whether you can change. The question is, what's preventing you from shifting your observation point? Why affirmations and vision boards haven't worked. You've probably tried to break your patterns before. You've repeated affirmations. I am abundant. I am confident. I am worthy of love. You've visualized. You've made vision boards. You've set intentions. And maybe it worked for a few days. Then you snapped back to the old pattern like a rubber band. And you blamed yourself for not trying hard enough, not believing deeply enough, not being spiritual enough. But here's the truth that will set you free. It wasn't your fault. You were trying to reprogram your reality from the wrong level of your being. Think of it this way. Your conscious mind is like the captain of a ship shouting orders. Your subconscious mind is the crew of hundreds below deck running the actual vessel. The captain can scream, "Turn left," all day long, but if the crew has been trained for 20 years to turn right whenever they sense that particular ocean current, guess which way the ship goes? This is what neuroscientists call the 95-5 split. Your subconscious mind controls 95% of your behavior, running programs encoded in your first 7 years of life when your brain was in theta wave state, essentially a hypnotic trance, absorbing everything without filters. Your conscious willpower? That's the 5%, trying desperately to override decades of programming. It's not a fair fight, and quantum physics tells us why it's not even the right fight. The real issue is coherence, or the lack of it. In quantum systems, coherence means all parts of a system are vibrating in synchronization, like a laser beam where all photons move in perfect alignment. Incoherence means the parts are vibrating at different frequencies, canceling each other out, like when you drop a stone in water and the ripples scatter in chaos. When your conscious mind wants success, but your subconscious believes you're unworthy, you're in quantum incoherence. Your electromagnetic field, yes, your heart generates an electromagnetic field 5,000 times stronger than your brain's, is broadcasting mixed signals into the quantum field. You're simultaneously trying to collapse the wave function into success and unworthiness, and the result is stagnation. The pattern continues because your system is fighting itself. The observer effect and the reality you're creating. Let me take you deeper into the quantum mechanics of your consciousness. There's a principle called the observer effect, and it's one of the most radical discoveries in physics. In quantum experiments, particles behave differently when they're being observed versus when they're not. The famous quantum physicist John Wheeler demonstrated that observation can even change the past behavior of particles in what he called delayed choice experiments. This isn't mysticism. This is measurable, repeatable physics. Consciousness collapses probability into actuality. Now apply this to your life. Every moment, you're observing your reality through the lens of your beliefs, your emotional state, your nervous system activation. And that observation is literally selecting which quantum possibilities become your lived experience. If you observe your life through the lens of lack, I never have enough money, your reticular activating system, the brain's filter, will highlight every instance of lack while filtering out evidence of abundance. Your emotional state will generate stress hormones that keep you in survival mode, shutting down the prefrontal cortex where creativity and possibility live. Your behavior will unconsciously align with lack. You'll make small, safe choices. You'll sabotage opportunities that feel too good to be true. You'll emit a frequency into the quantum field that attracts circumstances matching lack. You're not attracting what you want. You're attracting what you are, or more precisely, what you believe yourself to be at the deepest level. This is why breaking patterns requires more than changing your thoughts. It requires changing your state of being, the entire electromagnetic signature you're broadcasting into the field. The 3 levels, where patterns live. Here's what 20 years of research into consciousness and quantum biology has taught me. Patterns exist simultaneously on 3 levels, and you must address all 3 to create lasting change. First, the mental level, your belief architecture. This is where most people start and stop. Your beliefs are quantum filters. They determine which possibilities your consciousness can even perceive. If you believe people like me don't succeed, your brain literally cannot recognize opportunities that contradict this belief. It's not that the opportunities aren't there. They exist in the quantum field of possibility. But your observation point excludes them from your experience. The problem? Most of your core beliefs aren't conscious. They're running like background software, installed before you could think critically. To change them, you can't just override them with affirmations. You have to become aware of them, observe them without judgment, and then consciously install new programs through repetition while your brain is in neuroplastic states, deep relaxation, just before sleep, after meditation. Second, the emotional level, your vibrational frequency. This is where the real power lives and where most transformation work fails because people skip it. Emotions aren't just feelings, they're electromagnetic signals. The HeartMath Institute has proven that your heart's electromagnetic field extends several feet beyond your body, and it changes frequency based on your emotional state. Fear, shame, and anger vibrate at low frequencies, literally, measurably low. Love, gratitude, and joy vibrate at high frequencies. And here's the quantum truth. You cannot access high-frequency possibilities, abundance, fulfilling relationships, creative success, while broadcasting low-frequency signals. It's like trying to tune in to FM 101.5 while your radio is stuck on AM 530. The station is broadcasting, but you cannot receive it. Your patterns persist because they have emotional charges attached to them. That relationship pattern where you choose unavailable partners, it's running on a frequency of love means pain or I'm not enough, emotions encoded from your first experiences of love. Until you discharge that emotional frequency and encode a new one, the pattern will regenerate no matter how much you consciously know better. Third, the somatic level, your body's cellular memory. This is the deepest level and the one almost everyone misses. Your body doesn't understand language. It understands sensation, movement, and nervous system states. Every pattern you have is encoded in your fascia, your gut microbiome, your vagus nerve tone, your muscle memory. That anxiety pattern, it lives in your shallow breath, your tense shoulders, your dysregulated nervous system that perceives safety as threat because your childhood environment was unpredictable. That self-sabotage pattern, it lives in the somatic memory of punishment for success, encoded as a full-body flinch response that activates whenever you approach your edge. You can change your thoughts and even shift your emotions, but if your body still holds the old pattern, if your nervous system still interprets your growth as danger, you'll unconsciously create circumstances that return you to the familiar state your body recognizes as home, even if that home is dysfunctional. The quantum shift, from trying to change to becoming the change. So how do you actually break the pattern? Not by fighting it, not by positive thinking, not by willpower, by achieving quantum coherence, by aligning all three levels of your being so that your conscious intention, your emotional state, and your somatic reality are broadcasting the same frequency. This is what I call the quantum shift, the moment when you stop trying to become someone different and you start embodying the person who already has what you desire. Not pretending, not faking it, actually shifting your identity at the quantum level. Here's how this works in practice. Let's say you're breaking a pattern of financial struggle. The old approach is, I need to make more money, so I'll work harder, think more positively about money, and hope things change. This comes from lack. You're observing reality as someone who doesn't have enough, trying to get to enough. The quantum approach is entirely different. You ask, who is the version of me who already lives in abundance? How does that person think? What do they feel in their body when they wake up? How do they move through the world? What decisions do they make? What energy do they bring to conversations? And then, this is crucial, you practice being that person now, not when you have the money, not when the circumstances change. Now, because in the quantum field, there is no linear time. Past, present, and future exist simultaneously. The version of you who has already transcended this pattern exists right now in the field of probability. Your job is to collapse that probability into your current experience by matching its frequency. The daily practice of quantum coherence. Let me give you a practical framework for creating this shift. This isn't theory. This is a daily practice that will reprogram your quantum observation point. Morning coherence ritual, 15 to 20 minutes. Before you check your phone, before you engage with the world's demands, you create coherence. Sit comfortably. Place one hand on your heart, one on your belly. Breathe slowly, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system and begins to create heart-brain coherence. Now, instead of visualizing what you want, embody the state of already having it. If you're breaking a pattern of loneliness, don't visualize a partner. Feel the warmth of deep connection in your chest. Let your face soften into the expression you'd have if you felt truly seen and loved. Let your body relax into the safety of belonging. Stay in this felt sense for several minutes until your body believes it. Your cells are listening. Your electromagnetic field is reorganizing. Then, and this is where most people skip, you ask, what would I do today if I already lived in this reality? And you let the answer arise intuitively. Maybe it's, I'd smile at strangers. Maybe it's, I'd wear that outfit I've been saving. Maybe it's, I'd have that difficult conversation I've been avoiding. Whatever arises, you commit to doing it. This is how you collapse the quantum wave, by taking action from your new state, not your old pattern. Throughout the day, pattern. Interrupts. Your old pattern will try to reassert itself. It's been running for years. It's a well-worn neural pathway. The moment you notice it, and awareness is everything, pause. Take 3 deep breaths. Place your hand on your heart. Ask, is this thought, feeling, action coming from who I'm becoming or who I was? If it's from who you were, you don't judge it. You don't fight it. You simply choose differently. Thank you for trying to protect me, old pattern. I don't need you anymore. I'm safe in this new way of being. Then you consciously choose one small action that aligns with your new identity. This is neuroplasticity in action. Every time you interrupt the old pattern and choose the new response, you're weakening the old neural pathway and strengthening the new one. In quantum terms, you're collapsing the probability wave into a new pattern. It takes approximately 66 days of consistent practice to encode a new pattern, but you'll start feeling the shift much sooner. Evening integration, 10 minutes. Before sleep, when your brain naturally enters theta wave state and becomes highly programmable, you review your day, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Where did you embody your new identity? Celebrate those moments. Let yourself feel genuine pride and gratitude. This encodes the new pattern emotionally and somatically. Where did the old pattern show up? Notice it with compassion. What triggered it? What was the belief underneath? What was your body feeling? This awareness prevents the pattern from operating unconsciously tomorrow. Then, as you're drifting to sleep, return to the embodied feeling of your new reality. Let it be the last frequency you broadcast into the quantum field before unconsciousness. Your subconscious mind will work on integrating this all night, quite literally rewiring your neural networks while you sleep. Why most people give up right before the breakthrough. Here's something critical you need to understand about quantum shifts. They're not linear. You won't improve 1% every day in a nice, predictable curve. There will be periods where nothing seems to change. You're doing the practice, you're making different choices, and the old pattern is still there, laughing at you. This is when most people quit. They think it's not working. But here's what's actually happening at the quantum level. You're building coherence. You're generating enough energetic momentum to overcome the inertia of the old pattern. In physics, this is called a phase transition, like water heating up. From 32 degrees to 200 degrees, it's just hot water. Nothing seems to be changing. Then, at 201 degrees, suddenly, a phase transition. The entire system reorganizes into a new state. Steam. Your breakthrough works the same way. You're heating up, you're building charge. And then, often when you least expect it, the entire system reorganizes. Opportunities appear that weren't there before. People who match your new frequency show up. Resources flow. The pattern that seemed immovable suddenly dissolves. But only if you don't quit at 201 degrees. There's another thing that happens right before breakthrough, the extinction burst. This is a term from behavioral psychology. When a conditioned pattern is about to be permanently extinguished, it comes back stronger one last time. It's the pattern's last-ditch effort to survive. So, right before your breakthrough, the old pattern might show up more intensely than ever. You might feel more anxious, more doubtful, more pulled toward the familiar dysfunction. This isn't failure. This is the sign you're close. The old pattern can feel it's dying and it's fighting for its life. If you understand this, you won't interpret the extinction burst as evidence that nothing's working. You'll recognize it as evidence that everything's working, and you'll lean in harder to your practice. The quantum field is always listening. Here's something beautiful and maybe a little terrifying. The quantum field is always responsive. It's not judging you. It's not withholding your good. It's simply mirroring back to you the predominant frequency you're broadcasting. Every thought generates an electromagnetic signal. Every emotion amplifies or dampens that signal. Every action sends ripples into the field, and the field responds by organizing circumstances that match your signal. This means you're never stuck. You're never powerless. You're never at the mercy of external circumstances. You are always, always at the causal point of your experience. But this also means you have to take full responsibility, not blame, not shame, responsibility. The pattern you're in isn't happening to you, it's happening through you, generated by the quantum observation point you've been unconsciously holding. The moment you truly understand this, not intellectually, but in your bones, everything changes. Because if you created this pattern unconsciously, you can create a new one consciously. If your observation collapsed the wave function into this reality, you can shift your observation and collapse it into a different reality. A question for you. I want you to pause here and really feel into this question. What would your life look like 6 months from now if you achieved complete quantum coherence, if your conscious desires, emotional state, and somatic reality were all broadcasting the same frequency? Not, what would you have? What would you be? How would you move through the world? What energy would you bring to your relationships, your work, your own reflection in the mirror? And here's the deeper question. What is one pattern, just one, that if you broke it, would create a cascade of transformation in every area of your life? What's the keystone pattern that's holding the whole structure of limitation in place? For some of you, it's the pattern of self-abandonment, saying yes when you mean no, ignoring your needs, making yourself small. For others, it's the pattern of isolation, pushing people away before they can leave, protecting yourself by not letting anyone truly in. For others, it's the pattern of proving, exhausting yourself trying to be enough, because underneath, there's a belief that you're fundamentally not. Name it. not to shame it, but to see it. Because what you make conscious, you can transform. What remains unconscious will continue to run your life. The invitation. Breaking life patterns using quantum principles isn't a quick fix. It's not a hack. It's a complete reorganization of your relationship with reality. It's understanding that you're not a helpless observer of a fixed universe. You're a conscious creator in a responsive quantum field. This requires patience. It requires practice. It requires a willingness to sit with discomfort as your nervous system recalibrates. It requires showing up every day, even when you can't see results yet, trusting that at the quantum level, everything is shifting. But here's what I promise you. If you commit to this path, if you do the daily practice of creating coherence, if you catch yourself in the old pattern and consciously choose the new response, if you embody the identity of who you're becoming rather than trying to escape who you've been, your reality will transform. Not because you manifested it through wishful thinking, but because you shifted the fundamental frequency you're broadcasting into the field. And the field has no choice but to respond. That's not spirituality. That's quantum physics. So I'm inviting you to join me in this experiment. For the next 66 days, commit to the practice. Morning coherence, pattern interrupts throughout the day, evening integration, and watch, really watch, how your reality begins to reorganize. I'd love to hear from you. In the comments, share one word that represents the pattern you're ready to break or the identity you're ready to embody. Scarcity, isolation, inadequacy, or abundance, connection, worthiness, just one word. By naming it publicly, you're making it conscious. You're collapsing the wave function. You're beginning the shift. And if this resonates with you, if you're ready to dive deeper into the quantum mechanics of consciousness and transformation, subscribe. Because we're building something here, a community of conscious creators who understand that reality isn't something that happens to us. It's something we participate in creating, moment by moment, choice by choice, frequency by frequency. You are more powerful than you've been taught to believe. Your consciousness is the most potent creative force in your life. And the pattern that's been running you, it's just one collapsed probability in an infinite field of possibilities. It's time to choose a different possibility. Not someday, not when you're ready. Now. Because the quantum field is always listening, and your next choice is collapsing your next reality. The shift begins now. Who are you becoming?